Nestled between rolling hills and a winding river, there lived a little puppy named Charlie. He was a small, fluffy ball of fur with big brown eyes that sparkled with curiosity. Charlie loved to explore, and he was always eager to see what lay beyond the safety of his backyard. His days were spent chasing butterflies, digging small holes, and following the scent trails left by the birds and squirrels in the area. But despite his adventurous spirit, Charlie always knew where home was, and every time he got tired or hungry he would return to the comfort of his cozy doghouse. One bright, sunny morning as Charlie was playing near the edge of the woods, a strong wind blew through the trees, carrying with it the scent of something interesting. His nose twitched, and before he knew it, he was following the trail through the underbrush, deep into the forest. The path wound through thick trees and over mossy rocks, and Charlie's excitement grew with every step. He was sure that he was discovering something new, something that no one else had ever seen. As Charlie ventured deeper into the woods, he didn't notice how far he had wandered from home. The trees grew denser and the sounds of the town faded away. He followed the scent until he reached a small clearing, where a beautiful patch of wildflowers bloomed. The colors of the flowers were vibrant and strange to him, and Charlie, overcome with curiosity, sniffed at them, forgetting all about the trail he had been following. After a while, Charlie looked up and realized that the sun was lower in the sky, and the familiar landmarks he usually relied on were nowhere to be found. His heart began to race as he looked around, trying to figure out which way he had come. The forest, once full of exciting smells and sights, now felt vast and unfamiliar. A soft whimper escaped from Charlie's throat as he realized he was lost. He walked in circles, hoping to find a familiar tree or a path leading back to his house, but everything around him seemed new and confusing. The shadows grew longer and the wind began to pick up again. The air felt colder and Charlie's small legs were starting to tire. He stopped for a moment, trying to gather his thoughts. What would he do now? How would he ever find his way back home? Just as Charlie was about to give in to his fear, he heard a soft rustling sound behind him. He turned quickly, his ears perked up. Through the bushes, a small, friendly voice called out. "Are you lost, little one?" Charlie blinked in surprise and saw a small gray rabbit hop out from behind a nearby tree. The rabbit's fur was soft and its eyes were kind, and there was a gentle smile on its face. "Yes, I am lost," Charlie said, his voice trembling slightly. "I wandered too far from home and now I can't find my way back. Everything looks so different here." The rabbit nodded sympathetically. "I know this forest well. My name is Hazel and I've lived here my whole life. I can help you find your way home." Charlie's tail wagged with relief. "Oh, thank you, Hazel. I don't know what I would do without help." Hazel smiled and gestured for Charlie to follow her. "I know the way. Stick close to me and we'll get you home in no time." Charlie, filled with a sense of hope, followed Hazel as she hopped along, leading him through the dense woods. Along the way, Hazel pointed out landmarks that Charlie had missed in his excitement earlier: tall trees with unique markings, a large rock shaped like a turtle, and a stream that wound its way through the forest like a silver ribbon. As they journeyed together, Charlie began to relax, comforted by Hazel's calm presence. He had been scared and confused before, but now, with Hazel by his side, he felt less alone. They talked about all sorts of things as they walked: the different kinds of plants and animals in the forest, the best spots to find food, and even the weather patterns that would signal when it was time to go home for the night. After a while, they came to a clearing where the sunlight broke through the trees in soft, golden beams. In the distance, Charlie saw something that made his heart leap with joy. The familiar shape of his house came into view, nestled at the edge of the forest, surrounded by a small yard where his family often played. "That's it!" Charlie exclaimed, his tail wagging excitedly. "That's my home." Hazel smiled and stopped in her tracks. "I'm glad I could help you, Charlie. But now you must go on ahead and find your way inside. Your family will be waiting for you." Charlie's eyes filled with gratitude as he looked at Hazel. "Thank you so much, Hazel. I'll never forget your kindness. You're the best friend I've ever had." Hazel nodded. "We all need a little help sometimes, Charlie. I'm glad I could be there for you when you needed it." Charlie ran the last few steps to his house, his heart filled with joy and relief. When he reached the door, he barked happily and his family came rushing out to greet him. They were overjoyed to see him safe and sound, and they showered him with hugs and treats. As the evening settled in, Charlie curled up in his cozy doghouse, his mind replaying the events of the day. He had been lost, but he had found his way home with a little help from a new friend. Hazel had shown him the importance of friendship and kindness, and Charlie knew that he would never forget her. From that day on, whenever he wandered into the forest, He would remember the kind rabbit who had helped him find his way back home. The next day, Charlie returned to the forest to thank Hazel. He found her by the stream nibbling on some leaves. When she saw him, her eyes lit up with a smile. "Charlie, what a pleasant surprise," she said, hopping over to him. Charlie wagged his tail happily. "I just wanted to thank you again for helping me. You're the best friend I could ever have." Hazel's eyes twinkled. "You're welcome, Charlie. I'm glad we met. Remember, the forest is full of surprises, and you're never truly lost when you have a friend to guide you." Charlie nodded, feeling a warm sense of happiness. He had learned an important lesson that day. Sometimes, even the smallest help could make the biggest difference. And from then on, he was never afraid to ask for help when he needed it, knowing that there would always be friends ready to lend a paw. A tiny, fluffy golden retriever puppy, no more than 3 months old, named Sunny, wriggled excitedly at the end of his leash. His large, innocent eyes darted around, taking in the kaleidoscope of sights and smells. His owner, a young boy named Leo, held the leash loosely, distracted by a vendor selling brightly colored balloons. Sunny, captivated by a fluttering butterfly, tugged gently, then with a sudden burst of puppy energy pulled harder. The leash slipped from Leo's grasp. Sunny, now free, bounded forward, his tail wagging furiously. The market square, previously a fascinating place, transformed into a dizzying maze. The sea of legs, the cacophony of voices, the overwhelming array of scents, all became a confusing blur. He chased the butterfly, oblivious to the growing distance between himself and Leo. He darted between stalls overflowing with fruits, vegetables, and textiles, his small paws slipping on the cobblestones. The butterfly, a fleeting speck of blue, disappeared into the crowd. Sunny, panting slightly, stopped, his tail drooping. He looked around, his initial excitement replaced by a growing sense of unease. Leo, realizing Sunny was gone, frantically scanned the crowd. His heart pounded in his chest. "Sunny! Sunny!" he called, his voice barely audible above the market's din. He pushed through the throng of people, his eyes searching desperately for the small golden figure. He looked under stalls, behind carts, his voice growing hoarse. Panic began to set in. Sunny, now lost, whimpered softly. He tried to retrace his steps, but the maze of legs and stalls seemed to shift and change with every passing moment. He smelled the tantalizing aroma of roasted nuts, but it offered no comfort. He heard the distant sound of a familiar voice, but it was lost in the general noise. He felt a sharp pang of loneliness, a feeling he had never experienced before. Sunny, exhausted and scared, stumbled into a narrow alleyway. The noise of the market faded, replaced by an eerie silence. He curled up against a cold brick wall, his small body trembling. He closed his eyes, tears welling up. He missed Leo, his warm hands, his gentle voice. He missed the familiar comfort of his home, his soft bed, his squeaky toys. A small, scruffy street cat, with one ear missing and a wise look in its yellow eyes, watched Sunny from a distance. It had seen many lost creatures in its time, and it recognized the fear in the puppy's eyes. The cat, named Rusty, approached cautiously, its tail twitching. It let out a soft meow, a gentle greeting. Sunny opened his eyes, startled. He saw the cat, its ragged fur, its scarred face. He whimpered again, unsure of what to expect. Rusty, sensing his fear, sat down a few feet away, its gaze soft and reassuring. It didn't move, didn't make a sound, just watched. After a few moments, Sunny, curious, sniffed the air. The cat smelled of dust, fish, and something strangely comforting. He took a tentative step towards Rusty, then another, until he was close enough to sniff its nose. Rusty, in return, gently nudged Sunny's cheek with its head. A sense of calm washed over Sunny. He felt less alone, less scared. He sat down beside Rusty, his tail giving a small, hesitant wag. Rusty, in its own way, seemed to understand. It began to groom its fur, a rhythmic, soothing motion. Sunny, watching, felt a wave of drowsiness wash over him. He closed his eyes, and for the first time since he got lost, he fell asleep. Leo, his face streaked with tears, his voice hoarse from calling, wandered aimlessly. He had searched every corner of the market, asked every vendor, every passerby, but no one had seen Sunny. He felt a crushing weight of guilt and despair. He should have held the leash tighter. He should have paid more attention. A kind-looking elderly woman, with a gentle smile and a warm voice, approached him. "Are you all right, dear?" she asked. Leo, his voice choked with emotion, explained about Sunny, his lost puppy. The woman listened patiently, her eyes filled with sympathy. "Don't lose hope," she said, placing a comforting hand on his shoulder. Sometimes lost things find their way back. Have you tried putting up posters? Leo shook his head, the thought hadn't even occurred to him in his panic. Come with me, she said, leading him to a nearby shop. We'll make some posters with a picture of Sunny and your contact information. We'll put them up all around the neighborhood. Sunny woke up, feeling refreshed and surprisingly less anxious. He looked around, remembering where he was. Rusty was still there, curled up beside him, its eyes half closed. Sunny nudged Rusty, who responded with a soft meow. A young girl about 10 years old, named Maya, walked down the alleyway, her eyes scanning the ground. She was looking for her lost earring, a small silver hoop with a tiny blue stone. She spotted Sunny and Rusty, and her eyes widened. "Oh, what a cute puppy," she exclaimed, her voice filled with delight. Sunny, startled, barked once, then wagged his tail, sensing her friendly demeanor. Maya knelt down, her eyes sparkling. "Are you lost, little one?" she asked, gently stroking Sunny's soft fur. She noticed the missing collar. "You don't have a tag," she said, her brow furrowed. She looked at Rusty, who seemed to be watching her with an air of knowingness. "Did you find him, Rusty?" she asked. Rusty responded with a soft purr. Maya, realizing Sunny was lost, decided to help. She picked him up, holding him close. Sunny, comforted by her warmth, licked her cheek. She decided to bring him home, hoping that his owner would be looking for him. Maya brought Sunny into her home, where her mother, a warm and welcoming woman, was baking cookies. "Mom, look what I found," Maya exclaimed, holding up Sunny. Her mother's eyes widened. "Oh, he's adorable. But he looks lost," she said, her voice filled with concern. They gave Sunny some water and a small bowl of food, which he devoured eagerly. Maya's mother noticed Sunny's missing collar. "We need to find his owner," she said. "Let's put up a post on social media and check the local lost and found pages." Maya took several pictures of Sunny, his fluffy golden fur, his big brown eyes, his playful demeanor. She posted them on social media, along with a description of where she found him. She also checked the lost and found pages, but there was no mention of a golden retriever puppy. Leo sat on his bed, his head buried in his hands. He had returned home, defeated and heartbroken. His parents tried to comfort him, but nothing could ease his pain. He missed Sunny's playful nips, his warm cuddles, his happy barks. He picked up Sunny's favorite squeaky toy, a small rubber duck, and held it close. Tears streamed down his face. He felt a wave of guilt and regret. He should have been more careful. Suddenly his phone buzzed. It was a notification from a local community group on social media. He opened the post and his heart skipped a beat. It was a picture of Sunny, his fluffy golden fur, his big brown eyes, his playful demeanor. He read the caption, his hands trembling. "Found this adorable puppy near the market. Does anyone recognize him?" He recognized every detail of the puppy in the picture. It was Sunny. He called the number listed in the post, his voice shaking with excitement. Maya answered, her voice bright and cheerful. "Is this about the golden retriever puppy?" she asked. "Yes," Leo exclaimed, his voice filled with relief. "That's my puppy, Sunny." Leo arrived at Maya's home, his heart pounding. He saw Sunny, his tail wagging furiously, his eyes filled with joy. He ran towards him, scooping him up in his arms. "Sunny." "Oh, Sunny," he cried, tears of relief streaming down his face. Sunny licked his face, his tail wagging so hard that his whole body wiggled. Maya and her mother watched, their faces filled with smiles. They were happy to see the puppy reunited with his owner. Leo thanked them profusely, his voice choked with emotion. "I don't know how to thank you," he said. "You saved my puppy." Maya smiled. "It was our pleasure," she said.